It was a meeting between senior cabinet ministers from the economic cluster and the president, with South African businesses already operating on the rest of the African continent and those eyeing to do the same, with the likes of MTN, Nedbank and Kumba Iron Ore represented around the table. Government says that it wants to lend South African companies more support as they venture north of Limpopo, as boosting African trade and investment has taken centre stage as countries race to establish new markets.
The implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area will profoundly transform market access for South African goods, services and investments. It will help to drive regional integration and value chains across borders. It will expand opportunities for businesses to access a wider African market of about 1.4 billion people at the moment and rising even more when we reach 2.5 billion people, and currently with a combined GDP of $3.4 trillion.
Given the economic potential for growth and development and the enhancement of people's lives, local business is excited that the government wants to help improve their experiences in the rest of the African continent by listening to their concerns, and says that the South African G20 presidency is a pivotal moment for the rest of the continent.
We carry this presidency of the G20 not just for ourselves as a country on the continent, but we carry it for the continent as a whole. And I think this evening's deliberations carry all the more weight because of that. It is the responsibility that we have as a regional economy and as one of the strongest economies on the continent to play a role to build regional collaboration, cross-border trade, and to continue building on strong policy and a legislative environment that will foster ongoing investment.
Local development finance institution, the Industrial Development Corporation, says this is an important moment for the African continent and is doing its bit to enhance trade and investment across the continent to fulfill its mandate of contributing to economic growth and boosting livelihoods through job creation.
The corporation has seized the opportunity presented by the G20 presidency and the B20, particularly through the Trade and Investment Working Group, of which my predecessor chairs, to advance critical policy recommendations. These efforts focus on strengthening a fair and resilient multilateral trading system, boosting intra-African trade, and addressing the challenges faced by entrepreneurs, especially SMMEs.
President Ramaphosa noted that the government and the private sector had worked well together in spearheading structural reform processes here at home, adding that it was imperative that they work together to ensure that South Africa remains the gateway to the rest of Africa and critical in powering its growth and development. Nampamela Losiziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.